Hi there, this is Michelle Richardson. I'm the founder of Mindful Soul Center for Wellbeing, which is located in Audubon, New Jersey. And I'm also a licensed psychotherapist, and I specialize in working with women and trauma. So I wanted to just jump on here today, and hopefully you'll be kind. This is really my first Facebook Live. I've had a lot of people encouraging me to do it, so I'm trying to be brave. And I just want to talk a little bit about why people struggle with the past and how this kind of comes up in our present, a little bit about trauma and therapy. So basically, when something happens to us that's bad in our past, whether it's a disturbing event or a trauma, it gets stored in the memory networks of our brain. And once it's stored in the memory networks of our brain, our system starts to organize around that event. And what I mean by our system is, I mean that our beliefs about ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our physical sensations, everything starts to kind of get organized around that bad event. And so, sort of like a wound, right? And so, when people come into therapy, especially when you're working with a therapist that's really trauma informed, we're going to be kind of exploring some of the past and some of the things that have happened. And sometimes people say, well, I don't really want to deal with the past. Like, I'm really coming in because I need help with stress, or I need help with anxiety, or I'm feeling really depressed, and it has nothing to do with my past. And that may be the case, but exploring it can just really bring a different understanding to what the present day symptoms are and how they might be stemming from past events. The metaphor that I like to use, and I'm not sure where this came from, so I can't credit anybody for it, but the metaphor I like to use is that if you think about our experiences as being sort of like the clothes we wear each day. We come home, we take our clothes off, we throw them in the hamper, we take them down to the washing machine, we wash it, we dry it, fold it, put it away nice and neat in the drawer. So what happens if there's an experience that's really negative that gets stuck in the bottom of the hamper? And it's sort of like this stinky sock that never quite makes it to the wash. It doesn't get folded, it doesn't get put away properly. And so in our brain, that experience in a way sort of gets stuck. And so after a while, because it's not getting washed, it's not getting processed in a healthy way, it sort of starts to stink up the place, right? It's like this dirty, stinky sock at the bottom of the hamper, and it just keeps starting to smell, and eventually it takes over. And so regular experiences that aren't negative or aren't traumatic are going to be processed in a really adaptive way. And these really negative or traumatic experiences get processed in a maladaptive way. They really get stuck. So an example might be, failing a test. I took a test, I failed it, and maybe the talk that I'm going to give myself is, that really sucked. I really didn't do as well as I thought I could do, but I'm gonna do better next time, right? So that's an example of an experience being processed. That's the piece of clothing that went through the wash, went through the dryer, and got put away nice and neat in the drawers, got put away nice and neat in the brain where it needed to go. But for some people, that experience of failing the test might actually turn into, I'm in failure. Like, everything about me is bad. And so that experience is where the system starts to organize around it. So now in the present, maybe that happened 20 years ago, but in the present, you're now operating with these negative beliefs about yourself, like, I'm bad, or I'm worthless, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. And you can only imagine that if you're carrying around those negative beliefs that came from that experience, that's going to affect a whole lot of things. It's going to affect relationships in the present. It's going to affect how you feel, your emotions, your anxiety level. And then it's also going to lead into potentially into physical issues too. And so, again, like, someone can come into my office and they're coming in because of a reason in the present, and they're struggling with anxiety or depression, or they're having a relationship issue. But a lot of times these issues in the present started a long time ago. And those belief systems and the physical reactions to it, the emotional reactions to it are still happening here in the present. So I hope that makes sense. Another metaphor that I like to use is that, and I think everyone can kind of relate to this, like, I don't know if you have a messy garage, but we just moved into a new house a year ago, and our garage and basement are already full of boxes, some of which may just have not even been unpacked since our last house. And you know, after a while, they're just sitting there, and I never unpack them. And I'm sure, like, in 10 years, I'm going to open up these boxes, and they probably have, like, my kids' clothes from kindergarten or something. I don't know. But we do that a lot with our negative experiences too. We put them in a box. We don't want to look in the box. We seal it up. We stick it in the garage, and we want to pretend like it's not there because it's a mess, right? It's a mess. And that's all well and good until it's not. Because eventually maybe, like, it's going to rain. That box is going to get moldy. It's going to start to smell like the stinky sock. The mold is now kind of spilling all over the place. So if we don't ever deal with what's in the box, it starts to affect everything around it. And so again, when people come in my office, sometimes they're having physical issues, headaches, insomnia, stomach aches, in addition to the emotional, in addition to feeling bad about themselves. And so the idea of doing therapy around your past is really that we can go to the past, and if we can go there and we can heal what happened, then the present starts to shift too. And then things start to be more open, and things start to just sort of function a little bit differently, a little bit more healthy. The symptoms that you're experiencing are now decreasing. There isn't as much anxiety. There isn't as much difficulty in relationships because you're working on healing those past events. So I hope that makes sense. And I'll hopefully be doing some more Facebook Lives. This wasn't as scary as I thought it was, right? Kind of like opening up the scary box in the garage. You know, here at Mindful Soul, we do a lot of work with people both on the present and the past. And we do that in a number of ways. I'm a certified EMDR therapist, and I would love to do a Facebook Live and talk more about EMDR therapy. We also do a lot of creative arts and expressive arts therapy here. And there's so many different ways to heal that stuff in the box. There's so many different ways to get that dirty sock into the washing machine. And even though it's a little scary and really uncomfortable sometimes, it can be incredibly healing. So I hope if you're thinking about therapy and you're thinking about embarking on that journey, and if you're having some reservations about, I don't want to talk about my past, we're just going to deal with what's happening right now, I hope maybe this will open you up a little bit to why that might be a really good thing, and why and how it can really create some really significant changes here right now with your life right now. So if you have any questions, please put a comment below. Any comments, if you just want to say hi. I'll also put a link to our website if you'd like to learn more about our practice. And thanks for joining and listening. Take care.